take a few minutes and talk about the HK VP9 and just a few things that I like and dislike about it, just to overall talk about the gun. I've had this for years and I own this one. This one's mine. My wife also has one that has a couple different bells and whistles on it. Great striker fired handguns, first off, and they're still available. This is a basic model. Both of ours are kind of just the basic vanilla VP9s. There are different models that are being put out by HK. So if you want something that's optics ready, longer barrel, longer slide, all that good stuff, you can get one. So just keep that in mind. And I'm thinking about getting one of the VP9 SKs at some point in the future, but we'll just see when that happens. So anyway, let's talk about this thing. So the VP9, just like the CZ P10, sometimes tends to disappear in a gun case amongst the sea of Glocks that are out there. And nothing against Glocks, I like Glocks, but there are guns that are better, in my opinion. It is what it is. I don't want to be a fanboy to any brand, and I try not to be. I just think there are brands out there that offer a little bit more on the innovation side, which honestly Glock isn't the greatest at innovation. They have a good product. They've had a good product for years. In my opinion, they're good at marketing, and they're good at just, pushing something that works. And it does. The Glock works great, and it's being sold, and it's going to continue to work great and continue to be sold with not a lot of really sweeping changes, because why? Why would you? It's a great handgun. But I enjoy other things than just going with the status quo, it seems like. So that's why I have guns like the HKs, the CZ, the Springfields, and what have you. So in any case, the VP9 is one of those guns that, sometimes it's not the cheapest gun in the case, and it just can be overshadowed by a sea of Glocks, a sea of Springfields, what have you. So if you're looking for something that is a good firearm, I encourage you guys to check these VP9s out, because they're one of the best striker fired pistols. I really like them. But let's just go over a few things. Now, I'm not really going to get into the specs so much because you can find that on their website. Just real quick, it's about a 25-ounce gun with an empty magazine, and it has about a 5.5-ish pound trigger pull. So there's a lot of other specs on it. So if you really, really want to get crazy into the specs, go onto their website, go to them directly, and then look at all the different specs they have on the gun, if that matters to you. So first off, let's talk about, so this is a standard striker fired, and I'll start from the top of the gun and just talk about my likes and dislikes on it. So first like, and this gun is from the factory, just like this. There's no bells and whistles on this particular one. So this one, right from the factory, it has these metal sights. I really enjoy. I don't like their other sight offering that they used to have. I think they still have them. It's the real snag free, and they got the 3 dots, and if you put a light against it, then they glow for a little while. I don't dig those. Those are kind of cheesy in my opinion. I think they should all have this profile right here. I dig the metal sights. I like the profile on the back. This so-called, I could call it combat profile, whatever you want to call it. I really dig it. And these are night sights. So I dig that as well. Right here, the 2 little ears on the slide. They're polymer, but they're made very well. So there's nothing wrong having a little bit something to stick out, something that provides a little bit more texture to the gun. That's not an issue to me at all. It doesn't really add a substantial amount of width to the gun that's going to affect anything, in my opinion. So dig that. Slide cuts, they're deep, they're sharp, but not being too sharp. And, I can't speak too much on them. They got front and rear slide serrations, good to go there. Slide contouring is good to go. Fit between upper and lower is good. Picatinny rails, standard variety Picatinny rails. The trigger guard, nice and spacious. Underneath the trigger guard, I hate this crap right here. I hate this lawyer speak on these guns. So right here, this warning, refer to operator's manual. I get rid of that. That's stupid. Nobody's going to pick up this gun and then magically look underneath the trigger guard and go, oh, hey, look, I better read the manual. It just doesn't happen. Okay, it's a dumb lawyer thing to do for these. I'd love to cover that or something. It's just annoying. So the undercut, not much of an undercut, but good enough. They're still good. The bore axis isn't bad on these at all. It's not as low as some other guns, but this thing is a very flat, low recoil gun, very flat shooting, so no issues there. Trigger itself is, I'll just kind of show the trigger pull. Here's your travel right here up to the wall. There's your brake. And let me show your reset. That was the reset. Nice, audible and tactile reset, which I like. It feels really good in hand. I got big old meat hands, so it feels good in my hand, even though this is not a super full-size 5-inch big pistol. It still feels really good in my hands. The magazine release here. They do have a couple different models with the standard push button and then this right here, a little wing where you come down. A lot of people hate those. It doesn't bother me. Even though I'm used to shooting other guns that have the standard push button, that's not an issue for me ergonomically. Coming down to the grip, good grip. It does have adjustable and replaceable side panels on the back panel, so that way you can custom fit it more towards your hand size and the type of feel that you want. Down here at the magazine, has these little grooves on the side of the frame. It's great for if you need to curl in and grab onto a magazine and rip it out in case of malfunction. I like that. There isn't really much for a magwell on this at all. It doesn't really affect function. I think it would be neat to have some sort of magwell on here, but I understand by putting a magwell here, you're kind of taking away that feature. So lose one to gain another, I guess. Takedown, I prefer the lever takedown on these types of firearms versus the Glock. The Glock one isn't bad, it's just I prefer this right here, having a little lever. The slide lock, slide release, it doesn't stick out too much. Very nicely designed so like my thumb can get on it. It does have ambidextrous for those that care about that. The gun itself has an external extractor for those that care. And then on the back here, if you can see a little red, that's an exposed area on the back slide plate. So there you go. It's kind of a visual deal to look at to see if your striker is cocked. Neat feature. It's not needed. I'd rather have it just completely closed off and flat back here. But I get it. It's a selling feature of these things. Overall feel of the gun is nice. The reliability is super nice. The magazines themselves, these are older mags. I have a bunch of the older mags, 15 rounders, but they do have 17 rounders for these now. That was kind of my gripe, is 15 round magazine when the standard is kind of a 17 round. Looks like they fixed that. So it looks like you can get standard 17 rounders from the factory, but they should have done that at the get-go in my opinion. So overall, I haven't had any issues with my VP9s. They seem to run good. They run good with different types of ammo, different profiles, and different brands of 9mm, so no issues there. It's very flat shooting, low recoiling, very accurate, easy to operate. And the price, the reason I have these VP9s is, I'll tell you right now, I am not a rich guy. I'm a poor guy. Right off the bat, I do not make a lot of money, and that's just, it is what it is. So these types of firearms, sometimes it's harder for me to get a hold of and justify the expense. But when I see these on sale or I happen to get a good deal on them, then, that's more of a deal. This one I got for under $500. It's because it was sitting in a gun case and it just wasn't moving. And the guy behind the gun case was like, this thing just isn't moving. It's been sitting here forever. And I'm just like, well, what's the catch? It's new, right? It works. And he goes, yeah, it's brand new. Everything works fine. It's just people are coming in and grabbing the other brands first. Or maybe they heard some horror stories about the VP9s. I don't know. Well, it works perfectly good. So I picked it up. I think for less than $500, just like my XD9, my XDM Elite that I got for under $500 as well. That's a good deal. So I'll take that. So it's a good, reliable handgun, and it does have a pretty good track record. It is used. I do know in my state it's used in law enforcement. They have a 40 caliber version of this as well that I've seen in law enforcement circles that seems to have a pretty good service history. The aftermarket support is good for these things as well. So feel free to check them out. Look for them. If you haven't messed with them too much, feel free to mess with them. They feel really good in hand. They're not, they may feel, to me, it feels a little bit more chunky in my hand than, let's say, a CZ P10. But the P10 is a pretty streamlined gun. but it's just very minor. It still feels extremely well in hand. I really enjoy these guns. These are one of my favorite striker fired handguns out on the market right now. So again, check them out. I mean, if I could own more HK products, I would. It's just, you know, they're expensive and I'm poor. So it is what it is. So, all right. Thanks all for watching. Feel free to throw in your comments, whether they're good or bad. If you have comments, feel free to, if you have bad comments on these, feel free to include that as well, because I know not everybody is going to have a good, awesome report on these. It seems like for the most part, the reviews are good, but I have seen some bad reviews as well. And it's important to make those known as well so people can compare and make a good, honest, educated decision on how to spend their hard-earned money. So, all right. Thanks a lot for watching as always, and I hope everybody's staying safe and sane out there.